Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the South East region of Engineers Ireland, I'd like to welcome you all for this evening's presentation, which will give an overview of the Energy Efficiency Retrofit Programme, which is coordinated through the Housing Delivery Coordination Office at the Local Government Management Agency. Our speaker this evening is my colleague, Ms. Jennifer Doran, Project Co-ordinator for Housing Stock Management within the HDCO. Jennifer holds an honours degree in Architectural Technology, a Master's in Construction Project Management, and a postgraduate certificate in NZ Design. The forum for this evening will be Jennifer's presentation, followed by Q&A thereafter. So please use the Q&A section for questions. I will now hand you over to my colleague Jennifer to start the presentation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and welcome this evening, and thanks for Laura to hand me over there to you. I'm just here this evening to inform you about the Energy Efficiency Retrofitting Programme for local authority owned housing stock. And as Laura said, I'm a project coordinator in the Housing Delivery Coordination Office, and for last year I've been working on the Energy Efficiency Retrofit Programme, among other things. So this evening I'm going to give an insight into the Energy Efficiency Retrofit Programme, or the EERP for short. This will give a background to the current programme, the aims and the requirements of the programme, and how the HDCO are assisting the local authorities and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage in the delivery of it. The target set for the programme is to deliver retrofitting of 36,500 local authority owned houses to a B2 rating or cost optimal by 2030. A good place to start with the background to the current EERP is how it evolved from the original programme launched in 2013 by the department. In 2013, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage launched a programme to assist local authorities by providing funding to retrofit the social housing stock. The original programme was carried out in two phases. Phase 1 provided funding to target less intrusive measures such as cavity wall pumping and attic insulation. Phase 2 was rolled out in the later years, focusing on the fabric upgrade works to properties with solid or hollow block walls construction, and included the provision of heating upgrades. However, in 2020, both phases were withdrawn. From 2013 to 2020, over 73,529 local authority owned social houses have received works through phase 1 and phase 2, with a total funding of 162 million provided by the department. In 2021, the revised EERP was issued, with 1,584 units receiving funding, including 692 units that were outstanding from phase 1 and 2 of the previous version of the scheme. Why was the EERP revised, you might ask? Well, it was in response to the commitments set out in the 2020 programme for government. These commitments included an average 7% per annum reduction in overall greenhouse gas emissions from 2021 to 2030, approximately 51% reduction over the decade, and to achieve a net zero emissions by 2050. Ireland's Climate Action Plan set out a detailed roadmap for this period from 2021 to 2030, with the objective of reducing carbon equivalent emissions from the built environment by 40 to 45%. This was relative to the 2030 projections. The National Residential Retrofit Plan is contained within Chapter 14 of the Climate Action Plan. This includes retrofitting 500,000 homes to a BER level of B2 or cost optimal equivalent, or carbon equivalent, throughout Ireland. The National Development Plan reviewed its allocation for retrofitting the residential properties and resulted in an unprecedented level of investment into retrofitting of the residential properties, with 5 billion from additional carbon tax revenues being allocated to support the residential retrofitting up to 2030. Climate action simply aims to reduce the energy consumption and reduce carbon emissions. Housing for All 2021, Section 5, enabling a sustainable housing system, supports the targets set out in the National Planning Framework and the Climate Action Plan, and the drive for achieving environmental sustainability on the social housing stock held by local authorities, and by increasing funding to retrofit 36,500 of their approximate 140,000 owned homes to achieve a B2 or cost optimal on the 36,500 by 2030 as part of the National Development Plan. This is approximately 25% of the overall LA-owned current stock to be targeted under the programme. The programme for government has set challenging and ambitious targets over the coming years, aimed at achieving Ireland's objective of reducing its carbon emissions by more than half, with an aim to retrofit 500,000 homes to a BER of B2 or cost optimal by the end of 2030, and with 36,500 of these units coming from local authority owned housing stock. In 2021, the department issued Circular 8 of 2021, setting out the new EERP targets and requirements for the local authorities to achieve. The revised programme calls for upgrading of the fabric along with providing an energy efficient heating system, and sets out the requirements to achieve this through a range of measures to achieve an overall target of B2 energy rating or cost optimal. In 2021, the total aim was to achieve completion of retrofitting to 2,400 units with funding provided of 65 million. The inaugural year seen a reported completion and delivery of 892 units, including 146 units completed under the Midlands Retrofitting Programme. These achieved a B2 or cost optimal, and the total funding provided was 21.7 million. In 2022, a target of achieving 2,400 units was also set, and an allocation of 85 million towards the funding of this. This is currently ongoing, and we're getting close to the end of this year's targets being met. To the right of side of the slide is an example of the breakdown of eligible works funded to achieve the B2 or cost optimal requirement set. The measures covered under the scheme are 300 mil attic insulation, including hot press and pipe insulation, flat roof insulation, and where necessary, ventilation of an existing flat roof extensions. Wall insulation through cavity wall pumping, external insulation or internal insulation, windows and door replacement, heat pump and all necessary associated works, LED lighting, and of course the BER certificates. The department has specified requirements governing the different measures, such as the heat loss indicator for heat pumps, along with others that link in with the building regulations. The funding in 2021 and 2022 also included a budget of 5 million per year in project management fees to assist the local authorities in responding to the targets set. And the PM fees can be used by the local authorities to achieve these targets through providing dedicated staff, upskilling of staff, and to minimise their reliance on external consultants. As you can see from the thresholds under the scheme have increased from 2021 to 2022, with the maximum thresholds also reflecting the increase for mid-terrace apartments, and going from 38,900 to 42,350, and the maximum thresholds for end of terrace and detached and semi-detached properties going from 45,400 to 48,850 to help to assist in achieving a B2 or cost optimal for the units. The average unit cost in 2021 was 27,000 euros, and this was raised to 33,333 in 2022. The average unit cost applied to the programme requires the local authorities to use a blended approach in selecting properties for the scheme, where some may require a limited number of measures to improve the BER, while others may require all measures. For example, this would see councils blending a number of properties with a BER worse than a D, with ones with a BER of C or better, to achieve the B2 or cost optimal required under the programme. Early in 2022, and in response to local authorities' concerns on the cost of installing heat pumps, the HDCO carried out research and presented a report on the findings to the department. In response, the department reviewed and revised the funding for heat pumps and increased the funding from 13,000, which was issued in 2001, to 16,000 in 2002. The department review an uplift of 3,000 for the heat pump element is reflected in the overall uplift of the funding in 2022. One of the other large elements of works carried out on the EERP by the HDCO relates to the setting up of a tracker for the programme. This is to monitor and collect data around the target set, the measures used, and the progress being made on the annual programme. The tracker is known as ERICA, Energy Retrofit Information Capture Analysis. ERICA was approved by the department, and to the top of the slide you can see an extract of ERICA showing the structure and the breakdown. There is 7 color-coded groups of information required moving along with the project flow. Under the headings that require explanations, options are pre-populated on a drop-down. This is to enable more concise reporting and categorization. The options provided in the drop-downs and the categorizations were selected from information required and information gathered from discussions with the different local authorities. Each local authority is provided with access to record their progress and data. ERICA will then use this information to populate a Power BI report. Work on this is currently ongoing, but once completed, it will allow each local authority to view their own information while also allowing the department and the HDCO to review it. The first block of information relates to the basic property information, such as the year entered the programme, address, air code, number of floors, floor area, and the year of construction. The first 3 columns are locked and can only be populated or altered by the department. These are the properties approved for the EERP programme from those submitted by the local authorities. The BER details include some additional property information, such as status, whether it is occupied or vacant, the unit type, whether it has previously received Energy Works funding, the pre-works information on the BER rating, energy consumption, the carbon emissions, if the property is to achieve a B2 or cost optimal, along with the estimated carbon and energy savings. Information on the carbon and energy values are also required later in the table, recording the post-works values. This stems from a report issued by the European Court of Auditors in 2020 on the Better Energy Homes, the Warmer Homes scheme, that highlighted a number of areas requiring strengthening of the data reported from Ireland, particularly referencing the energy saving and carbon emissions on the EERP works, along with the pre and post works BERs and a path to achieve a set target. From this report, the local authorities are required to have a pre-works BER cert, a survey conducted to inform the works required to achieve either B2 or cost optimal, and a post-works BER cert, and the post-works energy savings and carbon reductions for each property. The heat loss indicator is also recorded on the tracker, or as it is known and referenced as the HLI. It is required to be completed for properties where a heat pump is to be fitted and to be in line with the SEAI heat pump grant scheme requirements. The general requirements for the HLI is to be less than 2. The circular refers to specific requirements where the HLI is between 2 and 2.3, and in limited circumstances, the HLI may be increased to 2.6 on a pilot basis, and where the property is a single-storey, semi-detached or detached property under 55 square metres. Exception is also made to these properties with allowance of the installation of a 1 kilowatt PV system, which is funded under the heat pump measures. The local authorities should also cooperate with the SEI funded research to allow for monitoring performance of these heat pumps in this particular situation. The next field in light green covers procurement, aiming to capture the property status and the project status, along with the estimated costs, the procurement route used from the existing frameworks to individual tender competitions, post-tender costs, project and actual timelines, and reasons for revised completion dates. These reasons can vary from tender issues, tenant withdrawal, supply chain, to contractor delay, among others. The next section in yellow is related to obligated parties and was added to ERICA in response to both the circulars requiring the local authorities to invite the obligated parties to participate in the programme. This section enables the local authorities to report if there was no engagement from the obligated party, or if there was, the level of service received, and if an energy credit value was received from them. The completion section in orange allows for the capturing of the contract payment information and the breakdown of the costs per eligible measure allowable under the EERP, along with providing information on any overruns incurred. The claims section refers to the lodging of the claim submissions to the department, along with when the recoupment was received. The department can only count properties where the recoupment has been issued as properties completed in the annual year. Only properties completed and recoupment received for these by the ALAs are counted towards the annual targets in which the recoupment was paid. The final section, or grey section, referred to as other, is to capture other works carried out in tandem with the works under the EERP, such as maintenance works, DPG works, or voids works, along with capturing the costs incurred and the category of the works carried out on these. As you can see, there is a lot of valuable information recorded on ERICA that will provide great insights into the programme over the coming years and allow for reporting as required. Once the Power BI is up and running, this will also provide the local authorities with valuable information on the stock that has been upgraded and assist in the future selection of properties. Throughout the year, the HDCO has been working with local authorities and the department to assist in the delivery of the programme. As part of liaison with the local authorities and the individuals working on the programme, a lot of the challenges facing them with the delivery of the EERP were raised. These range from limited availability of contractors with required skills to funding and inflation, obligated parties, internal resources, and to the level of tenant liaison required. Through such conversations, one local authority had highlighted how they reached out to their neighbouring local authorities on foot of the change in the EERP in 2021 and set up a group meeting to discuss how they were finding the programme and how they were approaching the challenges faced. Initially, it was set up so they could learn from each other and have an insight into how each other were going about implementing the programme. And following their meetings, they wrote to the department to relay what issues arose from their discussions. Following on from this, they invited the HDCO to the meeting in early 2022, and they were also keen to have the department attend, and the department agreed. The meeting was an open platform and positive for all those who attended. Following from this, the department asked the HDCO to facilitate regional meetings to cover all the local authorities in a similar style. These meetings have allowed for a sharing of knowledge and experience between all, while also providing a platform to raise issues experienced. To date, 60 meetings have taken place, with all local authorities having attended. In response to these meetings, the department have been proactive in adapting and taking on board concerns raised, with the department issuing more guidance and templates on submitting claims in a bid to reduce the number of requests for additional information from the local authorities and to speed up the process. And in addition to this, they have also provided flexibility sought in regards to the eligible works thresholds. Other issues raised are in hand with the department, and the department are due to issue more clarity soon on these. The meetings, along with the regular contact with the local authorities have also allowed the HDCO to identify the key areas around the Energy Efficiency Retrofit Programme that are seen as obstacles by the local authorities in delivering the programme now and over the coming years. Further research was conducted by the HDCO with the LAs around these issues. The key issues highlighted by the LAs were relating to the annual programme, the project management fees and the obligated parties. In response to this, the HDCO has drafted a report including recommendations to address these and has submitted it to the department for a review, which is currently ongoing. And just to recap on the overall EERP scheme and where it came from 2013 to 2020, over the 7-year period, and under phase 1 and 2 of the scheme, 73,529 local authority units received works with funding of 162 million provided. From 2021 to 2030, a target for local authorities to retrofit 36,500 units nationally and to have these brought to a B2 or cost optimal has been set for them. In 2021 and 2022, a combined allocation of 150 million was provided to retrofit 4,800 units. A lot of work is being carried out by the local authorities in gearing up for the coming years and to reach the national target set for 2030. It has also showed an investment in funding for the scheme from the department, and everyone is approaching the delivery positively and seeing it as a great opportunity to upgrade the local authority stock, with local authorities embracing the spirit of the programme and the large investment into the sector, which is the second largest asset owned by the state. While the initial year's target wasn't met, they are growing in their resources and their knowledge of the programme as it has now been since 2021 and 2022. And that's basically a run through of the EERP scheme as it applies to the local authority owned stock. And I just thank you all for taking the time to listen to my presentation this evening, and I'll hand you back to Lawrence.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.